I listen to all of Lily's podcasts, but we don't often talk about them after the fact. Feel a little bit like I'm the mom. I've been invited into her personal heart and in her mind. So I don't really comment, and that's just sort of how we roll, because I don't ever want to get in the middle of where Lily's going.
Which I really appreciate. You're very good about that.
Yeah. I listened to your and Lexi's episode talking about dating and boys, and
This is my favorite topic.
basically what your expectations of them is. And all the things that you wanted them to do and what they should be doing. And at the end of it, I thought to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing to be a better person, woman, dateable gal?
Ooh, good question, Mom. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to or back to 80/20. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. Today we're recording at Spotify in LA, and I have my wonderful mom on the podcast. How you doing, Mom?
I am doing amazing, and I'm so excited to be with you today.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be with you too. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of I don't want to say fangirl, but maybe just freak out for like 2 seconds. I'm literally recording at Spotify. That's insane. And I wanted to have my mom on the show because she's been such a huge inspiration to me my entire life, and just one of my biggest fans when it comes to recording the podcast and all things podcasting. And I had this trip out to LA planned, and I brought my mom and my little sister Lexi with me too. Marley obviously was invited, but she's doing her own big girl job stuff. But yeah, so Mom's on the show today. We're just going to talk about all things like mother-daughter chats. We have some of the coolest conversations, and I figured that we would just chat away on the show. So Mom, tell me, how's your day going so far?
My day is going amazing. We started off with all of our favorite things.
We did.
We did yoga on the top of a hotel and had coffee, and it's just so fun to be here.
It is so fun to be here. We had a little situation with the valet this morning. Maybe not situation, but just getting here was just a little
Longer than anticipated.
And there were a lot of kids moving into USC,
And we knew that.
yeah,
As of yesterday, we knew that the whole hotel was full of families and kids, but we didn't think through how that would impact us this morning. Luckily, we had really planned ahead to get here,
yeah, we did.
but we waited in the parking.
And it had all this nervous energy
Yes.
in there. It was all these freshmen moving into USC, and they were all so cute, and they all had their TVs on the bellhop, what's that thing called, the luggage cart, and they all had their TVs and their Keurigs and stuff, and moving stuff back into the rental car to take it to move into college. And it brought me back to 5 years ago?
Yes,
Can you believe 5 years ago you were moving me into college?
I know.
That's weird. Almost to the date. Wait, what day is it today? Yeah, I think it was the 16th.
For real?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Yeah, and I felt a little bad for all those families because it's such a fun time, and they were not having fun.
No, they were not having fun in the parking garage.
They were not having fun.
No. But yeah, no, so it was nervous energy, weird energy. But then we got on the road, got here, no traffic, which was a blessing, and then got some coffee from Blue Bottle, and now we're here recording a podcast. So that was our morning.
So let me ask you a question, Lily. So here we are. You've been doing this podcast for 3 years,
3 years, yeah.
and it just keeps growing and changing and evolving. And it's just so fun to watch you grow this thing. And I love the conversations we have and the way you weave some of these things into your conversations with your audience. And, how do you feel in this moment?
Oh my gosh.
Do you feel like you've landed, or you're just taking off?
I feel like hopefully just taking off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. Okay. No, I feel super just grateful and excited for all the cool things that are coming. I had a friend text me this morning, and he was like, I don't know what time you're recording and I don't know who you're recording with, but crushed it. You know, love watching you succeed. I actually got a couple messages like that, which is like just so sweet. And it's fun to just, it's fun how the podcast has brought people together, even in my own personal life. Like I have friends that joke about, I talked about this in an episode last week, but joke about being in the 80 or in the 20, and they'll ask me like, are you feeling in the 20 today or in the 80 today? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. What does that even mean? And then we just all laugh about it. And then I have the same conversations with listeners too. Like, you know, they talk about how I got this DM the other, I don't know if I told you this, but I got this DM from a listener, and she said that she had a family member pass away recently, and which is just really sad. And then she said, I found your podcast, and I forget which episode she listened to, but she said it's been one of the only things that's helped me feel better.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah. And I was reading that and I was like, what? Like just, you know, just talking and the power of storytelling and the connectivity, you know?
She was probably handed the one she needed to hear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So hopefully just taking off.
Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's fun to be here and just enjoy all that, you know, LA has to offer. Like we were just walking around last night and doing fun things and meeting people and talking to people and just like hearing everyone's stories. I think too, a big thing for me lately has just been really honing in on people's stories and sharing them, because I was the one talking on the show for like 2 years, not really, you know, bringing many guests on. And then finally I was like, you know what, I want to, you know, yes, obviously have solo episodes where I share kind of what's going on in my own life, but then also bring guests on and have a platform for them to share their stories too. So.
Well, and it seems too because you're selective and highly in tune with who you want to share with your audience, that you tend to select the right people.
Thanks.
That need to deliver a complimentary message, or somebody that you learned from that you think your listeners could learn from too.
Yeah. I love having people on that I know kind of a little bit more about their story too, not just like anyone random. Like just I feel like it's hard to have a conversation. I'm outgoing, I feel like, but I don't think I can talk to anyone, which is kind of weird. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I can talk to anyone? I would love to hear your feedback on this.
You could, but you might not want to.
Yeah. No, that's true. But I love to have...
You like depth.
Yeah.
You don't like to spend a whole lot of time on the surface stuff. Like, we don't need to talk about the weather. We both know it's sunny outside. Let's move on.
Right. Yeah. I have a thing where I accidentally go like too deep with my friends sometimes. I'm like, wait, why are we talking about this? Like, let's just like chill for a second. Okay, so let's talk about you for a second.
Okay.
We had a little conversation over coffee this morning where I knew that you were coming on the podcast, and I was like, let's talk about you as a 20-something.
Okay.
Because most of my listeners are, you know, 21 to like 25. The ratio, I look every time and it pivots, but 20-somethings. Let's talk about 22-year-old you. Yeah, take it back to 22-year-old you. But it's not too far.
I know.
Take it back to 22-year-old you and share a little bit about where she was at in life.
Well, she had graduated from college. She had gotten married, and she was ready to set the world on fire. And she was cocky and didn't have a whole lot of time for nonsense. She was all business and wound a little tight. Yeah, if I could go back and tell her just to loosen up, I would.
Why do you say that?
Because,
like in what areas of life?
Very goal-driven, very mission-driven, no matter what it was. I can remember doing aerobics, and I was all about getting every step. And
did you teach it or
no?
take
I was
it?
just a participant at the time, and I wanted to get it right. And I needed to be in the front row center. And I remember one time after attending this instructor's class for many, many weeks, she looked at me and she said, my goal was to get you to smile and have fun, because I wasn't having fun. I was too into it. So I would tell her to just have fun, enjoy being present. And I was also always anticipating the next thing, the next job or the next move or the next milestone. That it's taken me a long time to just be present and celebrate where you are. Don't worry about where you're going because you're going to get there.
Do you think that that was kind of just like that mindset was like a product of maybe school or just like your friendships, relationships? Where do you think that stemmed from? And then where did you see a shift?
I think it's a product of how I grew up and the expectations that my family had for me, but also I had them for myself. So I wouldn't say, my family pushed me into anything in particular because they didn't, but there was an expectation that these things were going to happen, and I agreed. So that was that. When did the shift happen? Probably when I had 3 children, because all of a sudden I couldn't be the priority. My kids had to be the priority. And having children or having a dog or a pet that is 100% dependent on you forces you to tend to those details, to others' details rather than just your own. So I'm okay that I didn't have to tend to details like that when I was in my 20s.
It's kind of funny because thinking of you now, like you're very okay. I wish that Lexi was here too because she can attest to this. We talk about how it's like you've almost gotten more like laid back and like funnier. Well, not that you weren't funny because you're hilarious, but you are just kind of more like chill now. I don't know if that's like just, now that we're like out of the house and kind of like on our own. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Or you just like with age, like you just kind of like chilled?
Yeah, with age I've chilled, and I'll always be your mom, but all that foundational work is done. You are who you are, and I don't have to worry. I mean, I do worry, but
what do you worry about?
2 blonde girls getting abducted off the streets.
Oh, yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of worry about that too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for being real.
I think we just all have to be aware. Super aware.
Yeah.
Super aware.
Absolutely.
And not that you're living in fear, and I'm not living in fear for you, but trust me, I pray for your safety and your protection all the time. Let's face it, we're living our life by a phone, whether it's getting directions or working or I'm going to share a recipe with you, or let's use my camera, or I'm paying for something. Your medical information, it's all right here. So I think it's just important that we all just pause and note where you are, especially if you're in a new place. If you're going to an airport, okay, I can spot, I know where the bathroom is. I know there's a gate agent over there. I know there's an exit door over there. Just kind of quickly know what's going on around you before you lock in. So if something happens, you won't have to look for that. You'll know where it is.
Yeah.
It's like when you sit down on the airplane, you notice, okay, where's the exit row?
Right. Yeah.
How many steps is it going to take me to go forward? How many steps will it take me to get backwards? Okay, I'm going back.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, went down a little tangent there. Okay, so let's backtrack to 20-something you. What were you doing in your career? Because when I decided to leave my job, I remember we had a couple conversations where you were sharing with me your kind of career situation. We laugh and call you like a headset girl. Like you worked in sales, right? Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so So let's just say I was 25. 25, I lived here in Southern California, and I worked for a computer distributor. So at the time, if a retail store that was in the mall that sold computers needed software or parts or printers or whatever they needed, they would call a distributor. And I had my little headset on, and I had my accounts and my computer, and they would say, okay, I need to place an order today. And I had my accounts. And because I lived in Southern California, I worked from 6:30 a.m. to 3:30.
Was that because of the time zone thing? So
because my accounts were in Texas.
Oh, okay.
So when they rolled into work at 8:30. It was 6:30 my time, and I was ready to go. But yeah, I sat at my little cubicle with my headset on and took my orders and tried to upsell them. And
So you had to be in your desk headset on at 6:30.
yes,
What was your morning routine like?
it was lightning fast.
You
I-
took the commuter van, didn't you?
Not when I lived here.
Wait,
Wait,
so-
no, I did eventually, but my first job, I either drove myself or I carpooled with a guy that came from further south than I did. And he would just peel off the road and I'd jump in his car and we'd go.
Where'd you guys live?
At the time, we lived in San Clemente,
Okay.
and I drove up to Orange County.
Okay.
And then I worked for one distributor, and then I couldn't take it anymore. So I quit my job and I worked as a personal trainer for about maybe a year. And then I saw the downside of that, and I needed to make more money and I needed something more predictable. So I went back and got another job with a competitor, different distributor, and then I was traveling all the way to Los Angeles. So at the time we were living further north in Orange County. We lived in Irvine, and I traveled up here to El Segundo. And
Okay.
that's when I was in the commuter van. So that was really dark and ugly because it was a 15-person commuter van. I sat in the back row, center seat. So I had 2 people on my right and 2 people on the left, and I was in the middle
There were 5 people in a row.
in the back row.
Ooh.
And there I was, sandwiched like this. And nobody talked. 15 people, nobody talked.
Did you know their names at least?
I think I knew Jim, the driver.
Oh, really?
Yeah. These people had been commuting for like their whole life.
What was the time or the
Oh, 6 a.m.
no, like how far was the commute? Like minutes.
It took like an hour.
Okay.
But it was all stop and go.
Okay.
So I endured. I endured that. I endured my headset job. And then probably there a year, I don't know, 18 months, I can't even remember. And your dad was applying to law school. And I remember the day he called. I picked up my call at work, and he said, I got in. And I said, when do we leave? Because I couldn't wait to give my notice.
How far was that time frame?
Probably a couple months. Probably
Okay.
2 months, maybe 2 more months.
So you endured the headset job?
I did.
What
I
would-
wasn't made for that job.
No.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is currently working a similar situation, like shitty?
It's a stepping
shitty
stone.
Commute.
It's a stepping stone.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
a stepping stone. I wouldn't, looking back, I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot. I made good money. It allowed us to do things as a young married couple living in Southern California. It showed me what I didn't want to do for the rest of my life. It was a straight up entry level sales job. So it's okay when you're 20 something. Go do the entry level thing because you need to learn skills.
Yeah.
If you want to work in corporate America, you've got to start somewhere and learn how to be a corporate employee.
Right.
How to be in your desk, how to take lunch and be back on time. And
I would say the structures, learning how to kind of like, map your day out and be productive and actually get stuff done in this a certain amount of time, set deadlines, and the networking piece too, I think was super helpful.
I think too, at least for me, I just viewed it as that was the first part of my day, and I couldn't wait for the second part of my day because that's when I got to do all the things that I like to do with the people I like to be with.
So what was your second half of your day like?
After I spent an hour in my commuter van,
Yeah.
my car was packed with my gym clothes, and I went straight to the gym. And we belonged to a beautiful gym in Orange County and worked out there. I showered there. Your dad would meet me there. Sometimes we'd eat dinner there, or we'd go out to dinner, and we'd roll home like at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'd do my laundry, pack my lunch, lay out my clothes because I had to get up at 4:30. And so it was very,
Groundhog Day.
yeah, it was like going to school.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to school, it's the same thing Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
That's how I viewed my job. It's just like going to school. And I had no aspirations to be the team leader or the manager or any of that because I found it so like, can I just roll my eyes back in my head because this is so dumb. But that's okay. I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as I saw you work through your own work experience last year, I totally knew what you were going through, but you had to go through it.
Yeah.
You had to. And if you are in a tough spot, the only way is through. And I say that all the time. Like, you might be here and you know it stinks and you want to be there, but you don't get to just transport yourself. You have lessons to learn, people to meet, experiences you must have to be this person or do this thing. Just like being here today, you couldn't just show up here on day one.
No.
And record your first podcast here.
Yeah.
You needed to do all the other things first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think so much of your 20s is learning and lessons and experimentation or preparing you for the next thing.
If you're a longtime listener of the show, you might know that I have been drinking AG1 for probably about a year and a half or 2 years now. When I started drinking AG1 daily, I really wanted to just find a supplement that would be super simple. I was going through so much in my life at the time, and all I was looking for was a way to simplify taking supplements. And I could really feel a difference in the first couple weeks, and now it has become such a staple in my morning and daily routine. And that's because AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. So not only did I replace my multivitamin with AG1, but I also love that every single scoop includes probiotics, digestive enzymes for gut support, and adaptogens to balance my body's stress levels, which if you guys have been listening to the show, you know that that is a major theme for me lately is managing stress. Even my mom has started to drink AG1, and she always tells me how much more energized she feels and how she really feels like she's getting all the nutrients that her body craves. So AG1 has the Kelley Rakow stamp of approval as well. AG1 is the supplement that I and my mom trust to provide the support that our bodies need daily, and that's why AG1 has been a partner for so long. If you want to take ownership over your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/8020. That's drinkag1.com/8020. Check it out. So what was the biggest, and there might be many, what was the biggest risk you took in your 20s?
I think the first one I took was when I was working at the first distributor and I was coming undone in my cubicle and I quit my job to be a personal trainer. And I did it I just did it. And I knew it was a leap. And I knew it was going to be less money, but I just couldn't sit in that desk one more day. And then you may ask, well, then why did you go back to it? Because a little bit later, I needed the stability, I needed the income, I needed the structure again, and I knew how to do it. Yeah. And I knew it wouldn't be forever. So I'm not a real risky person. Like, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. You know that about me.
Yeah.
Like if
you
someone
don't do
says
roller coasters.
Yeah, if someone says, let's go jump out of the airplane, I'll say I did it once. I don't need to do it again. Yeah, I like my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
I like stability. I appreciate structure. I think the other risky thing I did in my 20s is I did a bodybuilding show.
Okay, tell me more about that. Because I was talking to, oh gosh, who was I talking to? I don't know. Maybe it was Lexi. Anyway, we were talking about how you did bodybuilding, and we were thinking, like, that's such an interesting thing. So tell me more about the bodybuilding competition.
The bodybuilding culture came out of here, out of Southern California.
Were you here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did it in the 90s. So there was no fitness as we see it today did not exist. Gyms were mostly designed for men. I had no problem entering a gym because I've always been in the gym. My dad always had a gym in the basement or the garage or wherever we lived. And so I knew how to lift weights. I did it a little bit as part of being a high school and collegiate swimmer. We did a little bit of weight training, but I was never afraid of the gym. So I had no problem in the gym. So, now I love the fact that you all can bravely go into the gym with confidence. My generation, not so much. Now they will, but back then they didn't. But anyway, why did I do it? Because your dad was deployed during the first Gulf War, and I needed something to do. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I still have to do, I told you, I had this job that I didn't really like, but this was the other half of my day, and I looked forward to it. And so it gave me something to do. So for 9 months, I trained for this show, and I did this show. It was in Laguna Beach, and it was risky because it's a lot to stand up there in a little tiny bikini and pose and flex, and I was tiny. I did the lowest weight class, so I'm not a small, tiny person, and so that was work in of itself. And I thought it was fun to use the diet to manipulate my body and to do the training. And I worked with a coach, and he's like, we're just going to bring you in like a show horse. And so I just kept that in the back of my mind. Okay, I'm a show horse. It was fun. I only did it once, and that was enough.
Did you win?
I got third.
Okay.
Third in the lightweight.
Nice. Go, Mom.
Yeah. It would have been fun to win, but that wasn't my goal. I just needed something to do.
Something to do, yeah.
And I like the idea of training for something. But that was risky.
I think it's good, though, to have some sort of goal on the calendar that's kind of like in the fitness or like athletic realm, because it gives you something to work towards.
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
And I haven't had something on the calendar for a long time, but I'm gonna run a half marathon. I think I told you that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we talked about it at Megan talked me into it.
Well, you told me you were starting to run again, and you were following a running program, but you didn't tell me you have a half marathon on the calendar?
Yeah, in Ocean City, like end of October.
No kidding.
Yeah. Do you want to run with me?
Goodness, I came on this podcast. I wouldn't have known this.
Yeah. Well,
no, I do not want to run with you.
Well, so we do this thing where, okay, well,
I would love to run with you, but I can't run.
That's okay. We don't tell each other things.
I think what happens in our family, because there are 5 of us, and we're not always all together, we have these conversations. Like I might have it 3 times, but I forget the last person. And so then it might be Lexi, and then all of a sudden we're talking, and she's like, wait, I didn't know we were doing that.
The best, though, is that when someone is listening to the podcast and they're like, Lily, I didn't know that you were doing this or that. I'm like, well, I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's just funny when people find out things through the podcast.
I think you and I are like that.
Yeah.
We don't always tell everybody everything.
Well, and oftentimes it's like a quick email exchange that something happens, and then all of a sudden I'm like on a trip somewhere, or I'm, booked with something, and I don't know, and then stuff just kind of happens and I don't think about it. I'm just like, oh, I'm just doing it. I'm just doing just my life.
Back to what you said about having fitness goals on your calendar. They don't always have to be events, but I think I agree with you. You got to put something out there.
It's good.
Like I'm going to do, I don't know, I'd like to do 5 Pilates classes this month, or I want to spend the next 3 months working on my my deadlift, and then that just becomes a focal point, because our physical bodies are how we traverse the earth, and they need to be strong and healthy. And so I hope, and I know that you know this because you're my daughter, but fitness isn't just something you do when you feel like it. In different seasons of your life, you need different things.
So the fall time, what's the best, in your opinion, the best goal to have for a fall fitness goal?
I think the best goal has to be something that you want to do and you enjoy doing. Life is hard enough as it is, so fitness shouldn't be a punishment. It should be something you enjoy. And I find it interesting when people don't like to do physical things because I'm so physical, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around it.
So when people say, oh, I just don't like that, I feel like there's something.
Well, but okay, here's the thing. A lot of times people will start doing a workout because they heard that it's like good for them,
Yes.
or like there was a one specific workout brand that I've done before, and Lexi had someone that she was talking to that wanted her to come to this type of class, and I think that Lex should just try it herself because she might really like it, but her hip I don't think is strong enough to do it. But that's beside the point. I didn't like this type of workout, and I kept trying to go, and I was like, oh, I need to go. Like, I've heard that this is so good. Like, everyone's had great results doing this. And I was like, but I don't like it. So why am I going to wake up at 6 a.m.? Why am I going to pay $40 for a class? Why would I put myself through this workout if I don't even like it, you know?
Well, again, that goes back to what I just said. Like different seasons of your life, you need different things. So
Yeah.
clearly, something inside of you is putting up the big eh.
Yeah.
But who knows? 10 years from now, you might.
It could be my favorite. I have no idea.
Yeah, you might have to recover from some kind of injury where your doctor, your physical therapist says this would be really beneficial for you, and at that point, you'd be like, oh, I've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time I need to go.
Yeah.
So back to your question, a good fitness goal for the fall, if you like to be outside, all kinds of walking, running, biking events come up in the fall because the weather's so nice all over the country, not just here. But if that sounds good, do that. I'm going to do the Bay Bridge.
I want to do that one too.
It's a 6-miler. It's a 10K.
Yeah.
It starts on the Annapolis side and ends over in Stevensville.
When's that? November?
Yeah, early November.
Okay.
But I'm a bit of a weather gal, so
yeah,
a weather wussy maybe I should say, because if it's raining or if it's really too cold, it's just going to be a donation to the fund.
Yeah.
So for your listeners that don't know, the Bay Bridge is a span that goes from Annapolis on what we call the western shore of Maryland to the eastern shore of Maryland on the other side. And it's about, how long is the bridge? 4 miles? 3 miles? I mean, the run is 6 because they wanted to make it 10K, so it starts a little bit.
I think the bridge is about 3.
But it's very, very high.
It's so pretty.
And it's really pretty. If you've never seen it, just do a Google search, Bay Bridge.
People call it the scariest bridge in the world, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's scary, but
I don't think it's scary either.
But a lot of people are afraid of heights and bridges.
Yeah, and that's okay.
There's a service that if you physically can't drive over the bridge, you just pull over and you can dial a number and someone will come and drive your car over.
It's genius.
It is genius.
Should I work for them? I feel like
I'm a Bay Bridge driver.
I'm a Bay Bridge driver.
I'm a Bay Bridge babe driver.
Lexi, let's start our own. Get in the Jeep, guys. Let's go. What do you want to listen to? I can play Pitbull or Taylor Swift. The listeners know that you quit your job to be a personal trainer for a little bit. Talk a little bit about like the trajectory of fitness throughout your life.
I grew up swimming. I will tell you, I was thrown in a pool at 8. I got out when I was 22. So I had no hand-eye coordination. You never wanted me to be your tennis player, partner, or play volleyball. I could do a little soccer. I could do a few things with my feet. But anyway, when I stopped swimming, that's when I really I found cycling, outdoor cycling. I love that. Weight training. Weight training has always been part of what I do, always. So even all the times I've done other things, like I went through a running phase for about 5 or 6 years. And I just, like you, I had never run really. So I started with just running with a girlfriend, and she was a marathoner, and she got me to a half marathon. And then the next year we ran a marathon together in Chicago. And so running was always in my back pocket. I could always put my shoes on and go for a run. After the running phase, I always liked step aerobics. I love the music.
Aerobics. Was that like with the green step and then the blocks on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
When the babies came along in my mid-30s, I had a jogging stroller, and I would put you and Marley in there, and we'd go. We'd either walk or run. And I would take the 2 dogs. I had 2 dogs. That was quite a sight.
How'd you do that?
It was pretty amazing. I don't see too many women running around with jogging strollers. And maybe because I'm just not at the park or whatever, but even just like on the boardwalk in Ocean City, I rarely see
I see
a
the
mom
big,
or a dad.
I see the big strollers now. You know what I'm talking about? Like they're huge.
They're like transportation vehicles.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
The jogging stroller was 2 big wheels in the front, 2 big wheels in the back, and 1 in the front. It was very aerodynamic, and you had a big handle. Yeah, those were cool.
Bring them back.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. What happened to the jogging stroller? What happened?
Maybe it was like not safe or something. I don't know.
Those things were like a Mack truck.
Really?
It was safe. I could run into something and you were strapped in with your harness, your little sippy cup and your cup of Cheerios. Yeah, so I did that, and fitness-wise, what else? I taught water aerobics for a while.
CrossFit.
Oh, yeah, and then we, your dad and I founded the first CrossFit on the Eastern Shore back in 2006.
Was it that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Lexi was 2 or 3. Yeah.
Wow.
And we did that for 9 years. Loved CrossFit. I still do.
It was like growing up, like practically in the gym. We just kind of joke about it, like as kids now, just like growing up as like gym kids, but not like equipment gym kids. Like
a big open gym
a big open gym floor, like a warehouse gym. Like I don't really do well on the machines in a gym. I don't really like that, but the free weight section or give me a barbell, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like it almost was just such a good skill to learn so early on, like how to squat or how to deadlift or like how to load a bar, you know. I don't know, we learned at like 10.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was my experience too, because I said my dad always had a weight room.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything fancy.
No. And it doesn't have to be.
No. And that was the whole point. And so now here I am, sold the CrossFit gym 8 years ago. I still do a little bit of CrossFit, but my body has changed. I had 2 knee surgeries last year, so that's why I can't run with you. But strength is still my main goal, so I lift regularly. I do a lot of walking. I'm back on my bike, which is fun. I do yoga.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call myself a yogi, because I feel like to be a yogi, I would need to be a regular practitioner. Is that what you call it?
A regular attendee.
Or even just roll out my mat at home on the regular, and I don't.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it. It's good.
Do you wish that you did more yoga?
No.
You're happy where you are?
Because if I did more, then I'd have to not do something else.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also give myself permission that my 20-something-year-old self would not have done, which is if I don't have 30 minutes to do a 3.5-mile run, then I'm not going, because then it wouldn't be worth it. Now I would say to myself, yes, it would. 10 minutes is better than no minutes.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes of yoga stretching is better than none. Oh, can I ask you a question?
Sure, absolutely. We'll toss it.
Okay. So listeners, I listen to all of Lily's podcasts, but we don't often talk about them after the fact. I feel a little bit like I'm the mom. I've been invited into her personal heart and in her mind. So I don't really comment, and that's just sort of how we roll, because I don't ever want to get in the middle of where Lily's going.
Which I really appreciate. You're very good about that.
Yeah. And I'm not overly opinionated anyway, and I've never been one to like tell you what to do or make you feel bad if you don't do what I tell you to do. But at any rate, I listened to your and Lexi's episode when you were talking about dating and boys, and
this is my favorite topic.
Basically what your expectations of them is,
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that you wanted them to do and what they should be doing. And at the end of it, I thought to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing to
Ooh.
be a better person, woman, dateable gal?
Ooh, good question, Mom.
So and then that's just how we are. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it at that before I comment.
Okay. No, but I agree. We
Yeah,
love this.
yeah.
So I decided really not to date anyone. I was just like, I need to just focus on me. And so I'm not going to involve any. And I went on a couple dates back in the spring, but every time it felt like a waste of time to me because not only does this person sitting in front of me, I feel like I can't give them what they need, because I feel like I've got work to do on myself,
Okay.
you
fair.
know?
Yeah.
So really for me, that's just like, so yeah, kind of putting like space between me and like the dating world, has been helpful. And then in that space, I've had, just more like peace to just spend time working through personal things, whether that's like confidence things or, just, I spent a lot of time trying to find, trying for other people to validate me, whereas that can't come from another person. We were having conversation, when we were sitting at those high tops tables the other night, talking about how, your partner can't be everything for you
Mm-hmm.
and they can't fill every single space or every single
Roll.
role in your life. And so your partner obviously can give you a compliment or tell you that you look pretty, but they can't be your one and only source of validation. And so for me, that's been probably the biggest thing in this season is just kind of working through like making sure that I'm 100% good with me, that I trust myself, that I keep the promises that I make to myself. Yeah, just kind of like working on me, whatever that looks like, whether it's, journaling or podcasting or just spending time with friends and just enjoying being me, as a solo person.
Do you think it's hard for young men in today's climate? Are they confused?
I think everybody's
Okay.
confused. I think across the board everybody's
Yeah, I
confused.
think so too.
But I don't think it was ever, I don't know if it was ever easy. It was probably easier because we didn't have technology. The problem I think now is like dating apps. To me it feels like you're shopping.
Yeah,
Like, and it just feels weird to me.
it is weird.
And if you found someone on an app, more power to you, like way to go, but I just feel like it's overwhelming and almost just like inauthentic.
Mm.
I went on one, maybe two Hinge dates ever, and they were always the most awkward because you've texted a little bit and then suddenly you're having drinks with this person and it's like you don't know, you can't create that connection with them, because you've never actually talked to them.
I think if you're trying to find somebody, whether it's a friend or a potential guy that you want to date, or you're just looking for a new group of people to hang out with, you got to put yourself in the places where those kinds of people that you want to be with are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're not going to find the marathon runner in a bar at 2 a.m. most nights.
Well, so that's the other thing too, that most of the time people spark relationships either on a dating app or in the bar. And it'll be a very, very, very rare occasion that you would find a long-term friend or a partner in the bar,
Yeah.
Um,
But it happens.
yeah.
It does. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't say it doesn't happen. In a bar, most people are under the influence of something.
Yeah.
So,
Which can help you, like
yeah.
get a little chatty,
Okay.
but still.
Someone's obliterated. Are you going to be attracted to a guy that's completely obliterated at 2 a.m.? Yeah, that's the guy.
Well, but so that's the problem.
Unless you're right there with him.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
problem. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird kind of, I don't know, like, do you feel like more 20-somethings are single now than they ever were? Or do you feel like it was always kind of like this, I don't know, because I mean, I have friends that are my age that are getting married.
Yeah,
or
I don't
friends that
know.
are my
I
age
don't.
and having
I don't know.
kids.
I'm not
Like,
really
it's
following
just,
the numbers enough, but I
yeah.
think, unfortunately, everybody has lost 2.5 years of their lives,
Yeah, that's true.
and for many people, it was a very pivotal period of their life
Mm-hmm.
where you should have been hanging out with young people, and instead you
Yeah.
were hanging out with your mom and dad.
Which I loved, by the
We
way.
had a really great time.
We had a great time.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
So I
But
don't know.
still, it just, it it's a weird, the dating world's strange. And I also think that we put a lot of time and energy on talking about dating. Like, and I think it's important. Like, I mean, there are dating podcasts. There are, like, I mean, you talked about dating. I said this is my favorite thing to talk about because Lexi and I talk about, boys and dating all the time. But I think that we put a lot of time and energy into talking about dating, and we should just be talking about like hanging out with our friends.
Yeah.
And like, how can we be better as people?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think that's odd, but I think, how you navigate it and find like-minded people, therein is the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the conversation is. How can I put myself in a group of people that are like-minded, not just like me, because I don't think we want to be with people who are exactly like us, because we want people that are going to support us and help us grow and maybe see our darker side in a gentle, kind way and help us become less dark in our dark places. I think it would be abnormal not to have that conversation on the regular.
About dating?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But I think we get hung up with it, like what we want that other person to be. And I mean, it's much more fun to talk about that than,
Oh, yeah,
what
'cause
are
it's,
my
like, your
dark
wish
sides that I
list.
need to fix?
Yeah.
Or not fix. I don't think we're not.
But like, deal with, and then bring someone else into those too. Because then it's like, once you kind of know, like, okay,
I'm a horrible cook, or
yeah, like I have X, Y, and Z going on, and I know that about me, and I work on these things, and now you know those things about me, so you can work on them with me, or I don't want to say deal with them, but just be
someone who can
aware.
support you through that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
because if you have somebody, I mean, I can speak from my own experience. I had a guy in my life for a long time that was all about him.
yeah.
And he never really asked much, or if I did achieve something, there wasn't a whole lot of cheering about that. Not that I needed a lot, but just some acknowledgement would be nice.
Absolutely.
And then once I found your dad, he was like my biggest cheerleader all the time. And I was like, oh, this is important to me. I didn't know that at the time when it wasn't happening, but once it started to happen, I was like, oh, this is important to me. So sometimes we don't know what's really important, or we're like, something's off and I don't really know what it is. And then when it comes, you're like, oh, that's what I needed.
Oh, obviously. Well, I mean, you can only connect the dots looking back.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
So. Couple hot seat questions for you. These are like rapid fire.
Ooh, okay.
And I don't have my list because I don't have internet, so they might not be as rapid fire as I hope they are. Okay. What is one song that is currently on your playlist, like the first one that you press when you get in the car?
I can't think of that one because I've had the Morgan Wallen song stuck in my head
Which
for 2
Morgan
days.
Wallen song?
I think of the name of it.
I'm thinking You Proof because you always have
it's You Proof.
Oh, is it You Proof?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
because I was
I'm
you
singing
always have
I'm
you always
thinking
have
the lyrics.
You have You Proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have You Proof stuck in your head, or Heartache on the Dance Floor stuck in your head.
Oh, it's been a while since John Party was stuck in
Well,
my
now
head.
John Party will be
No,
stuck in your
yeah,
head because I
yeah,
want you
okay.
to. Okay, who's your celebrity crush?
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. What's your opinion about pineapple on pizza?
I like it.
I like it too.
As long as I have pepperoni, because I need some salt in there. Yeah.
It can't be solo.
No. Can't just be pineapple and cheese. I would prefer pepperoni and green pepper and pineapple.
Okay. What is one thing that you cannot leave the house without?
Water.
And last question. This one doesn't necessarily have to be rapid fire, but this is my final question. I ask every guest this. The average age of my listener is like 20 to like 24-ish. I probably said a different statistic.
Yeah, I thought she was 25.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, she's in her 20s. And if you could go back and tell your 22-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
I would tell her to love herself fully and completely as she is, because there's no rush. And she's a work in progress for the rest of her life. So be kind to yourself. Say nice things to yourself. And trust your intuition, because she's there for you. And if you ignore her, you're going to have to come back around and repeat the lesson until you get it right. So if you can learn to lean into the inner voice from within sooner in your life, the better off you're going to be for the rest of your life.
Love it. Thanks, Mom.
You're
You made me
welcome.
cry. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much, Spotify, for letting us record in your beautiful studio. I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. If you liked this podcast, please be sure to give it a rating and a review. That just helps more people find and listen to the show. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to. See more of me, see more of my mama. Is your Instagram open? You never really post, though.
No, I really don't.
No? Okay. Well, you can follow my mom, too, if you want to. She might have
Kelley Rakow.
Kelley Rakow. And my Instagram is Lily Rakow if you want to check me out. That's pretty much all we have for you today. Thanks for listening.
Love you.
Love you, too. Good job.
Have a good day.
I think we did good.